Hello, everybody. It's me, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. It's Friday, March 15th. It's almost spring. It's been 12 days since my last subscriber or emailer encounter story. And I've got to tell you, it's well worth the wait. You guys got to listen to this from beginning to end. It really picks up a lot in the middle and towards the end. This guy's name is Bill. I've been talking with this guy, and good old BMR is normally, I'm not for a loss for words, but I need to help this guy. We, as the community and my audience, need to help this guy. I don't know what this is. I have an idea, but I need your help. Please listen to this. This is a fantastic encounter, an experience, if you will. And again, I'm kind of for a loss on this. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob if not already. My book on Amazon. If you haven't bought it already, please do so. The link is in this video and found on my YouTube page. Please subscribe. Give a like. Leave a comment. Hey, give a dislike. But I guarantee it, you guys are going to love this. I'm going to get started. Lost in the Woods. Hello, Rob. For this story, I will simply go with the generic name of Bill, as I do not want to be judged or ridiculed. This is why I watch you. You're not one to make fun or pass judgment. I thank you for that. And I thank you, Bill. This all started for me in the summer of 2023. So just under a year ago, the fall of 2021, I moved to the forest and the foothills of the mountains in northern Georgia. I apologize for not being more specific about my location. I must admit, I suffer from paranoia, and it is not solely about my experiences, but it is just my persona in general. I recently retired along with my wife, and all my kids have grown and moved out of state following their career paths. The place that the wife and I built was our retirement home. It is in an area that I had been camping and hunting for over 20 years. So I am extremely familiar with the forest and the mountainside of this location, which was a key factor in my making this change. In fact, the area, for the back of a better word, would be this. I know it like the back of my hand. I have studied survival skills, the sounds of wildlife, and all that encompasses being a true outdoors person. I also know about cryptids, and I'm fascinated about Bigfoot and the other strange phenomena in our universe. So I'm very open-minded and I seek knowledge. The summer of 2023 has haunted me, and still to this day, I am confused, and my paranoia has hit new levels. Here is my story. Mentioning earlier the location that I hunt and camp in is extremely familiar to me. I am redundant in mentioning this because you need to know that what happened to me should have never taken place. I planned to camp for 3 or 4 days in the woods. My wife had left for Florida to visit her sister. I really wanted some alone time, as I felt I needed just a change to recharge my battery, if you will. Life was good, and this alone time is something I seek every couple years or so. I arrived at my camping spot at roughly 6 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. I packed enough dry and canned foods, water, and the usual supplies for about 4 days. It was not an overload, just enough to fuel my body. I also plan to go fishing, catch some fish, excuse me, guys, to help implement my daily diet. I was amply supplied. The first 2 days went great. I caught some fish, hiked a few trails for a few miles. The fauna and wildlife were abundant. I bought, I brought a mid caliber handgun on my person just to serve as a form of protection and give me a sense of security. Plus, my wife insisted that I bring one along with me. The third day is when everything fell apart for me. The night prior, as I slept, a feeling of not being alone overtook me. I woke up to a very cold wind, and I could hear the whispers of my name being called out in the night air. The moon was high. I could hear the moaning of coyotes in the distance. The sounds that they made were that of crying. They seemed scared. In between their yelps, my name was continually being vocalized out to me. It ran chills and goosebumps down my spine. At first, I thought it was a sick prank being pulled from my best friend Charles. Charles had been known to be a prankster, but he also knows about my bouts with paranoia. So this would be a terrible joke to play on me. I reluctantly got out of my tent to listen closer. This was not Charles. The voice was too hollow. It was too distant, and I do believe it was not human. I immediately thought about leaving the campsite and racing home. In my frantic state, I thought it best to stay put. I crawled back into my tent, zipped my sleeping bag up over my head, and decided to wait for daybreak to make a decision. The sounds of my name continued for an hour or more, even with my trying to mask the horrible sound of my name. Sunrise came much too slow. I do not recall sleeping a wink. I did, in an odd way, feel comfort with the warmth of the sun penetrating my tent with daylight just in front of me. I prepared to get out of my sleeping bag and venture out of the tent. This, Rob, is where I thought I had lost my mind. Upon exiting my tent, I immediately knew that I was not in the same camping site. The river that rolled several yards away was gone. The tree line that surrounded me took on a new landscape. Even the trees and grass were different. The trees seemed much taller and wider. They had a haunting look, even in daylight. I became nauseous. I became confused. I reached for my compass, and the arm of the compass was in a continual, perpetual spin and did not stop. My cell phone battery was dead. My GPS was dead. It was almost as though I was in a different realm, a different land, or even a different state. There was not one singular thing familiar to me. I am lost. And again, Rob, as I mentioned, I know these woods like the back of my hand. I fear I'm lost. I'm scared. So I went to my truck to drive the hell out of there. My fears further escalated as my truck battery also was dead. Just as the landscape around me changed with the woodline, the trees, the disappearance of the river, so did the roadway that I drove up to my campsite. I could not keep it together. I fell to my knees and I wept. a grown man weeping. I'm a survivalist after all. An hour or so went by, and I desperately needed to pull it together. I, after all, was experienced as a survivalist. It was now time to put those skills to the test. I was grateful that at least the sun was out and it was still early in the morning. I ventured out looking for a way out. It is so funny, though, that the sounds of my name being whispered in the night was not even an issue. My life was in jeopardy at this point. I became frustrated and panic mode took over. I had to stop and collect my thoughts. One of the things I learned in survival study was not to panic. I knew better and I tried to calm down. After an hour traversing this unfamiliar land, it started. Yes, my name. I once again heard the haunting whisper of my name calling out to me in the distance. I'm scared at this point, yet I feel I must follow my name being called to me. I have to believe this is the source from this terrible experience. I started out in the direction of my name, out in the distance. My name got louder as I seemed to get closer. In an odd way, I was getting a sense of relief. Then the whispers of my name stopped. Grief beset me. I stopped. I sat on a nearby tree stump. This stump was huge, at least 5 feet in diameter. Like I mentioned earlier, all of these trees were much taller and wider than any I had ever seen. I can't compare them to the redwoods of California, as I'd never seen them before. I had only viewed them from pictures. So I sat and pondered my next move. I gazed out at the huge trees surrounding me. Now I knew I was losing my mind. The trees, 4 or 5 feet from the base of the ground, took on the image of faces, odd faces, cryptid creature type faces. Things I've only seen on television. Then suddenly my name from the distance called out to me. It spoke another word, however. After my name, it spoke follow. Perplexed and confused, I tried to comprehend. I followed the faces in the trees. I must have walked for an hour. I followed these haunting faces. Then in the distance, I heard the flowing of water. It was the river. The faces in the trees dissipated. I followed the river. The spring in my steps increased. Relief of all sorts overtook me. The forest once again became familiar. Ahead of me, I could see my campsite. I see the road where my truck was parked. I made it back. My cell phone and GPS were now functional. My compass was now working, and alas, my truck, Rob, it started up immediately. I was back. In conclusion, what the hell did I experience? I look forward to hearing back. Rob, on a side note, I have yet to go back into the forest. Bill. Wow. What do you guys think of that one? Bill, lost in the forest, familiar with, hunter, survivalist. Did he go through a portal? Why did everything change? How did it change? I don't know how he went through a portal sleeping in his tent all night. What about the howls? What about his name in the distance? I don't know, you guys. These elementals, right? Are these elementals? Did the trees that take on these faces, were they elementals that guided him home? Certainly they guided him home. They led him back to the original, to his campsite. But did he fall into a different plane, a realm? Again, was it a portal? What is this? I don't really have answers for this guy, and he needs them. Let me know what you thought about this. Hey, listen, leave a comment for this Bill guy in chat. Or not in chat, I'm sorry. This is not a live show. Leave this. Leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up on it. Leave a comment. Again, I love each and every single one of you. Give me your thoughts. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube if not already. Share me out. I'm thinking about doing this as a live show maybe next week with either Brandy or Krista and break it down a little bit. I know you guys like that just as much as I love you all. Subscribe. Buy my book. And until next time, have a great weekend. I am, of course, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Thank you.